but these are some of them. Anyways, when the plasma above us shrinks down and it contracts to its tightest form, now all of that light that is refracting off of our sky, coming in and giving us a focal point, is now focused, and it's thinner and it's smaller, and our daytime is basically akin to, symbolically ish, now it's pretty actual, a laser.
Hey, can we go on land? No. Why? The sun is a deadly laser. The sun is a deadly laser. No. 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 Deadly laser. Not anymore, there's a blanket.
So these are going to be some clips from Jay Dreamer's video, The Shortening of Days, which he says at the end of the video. You can clip it up and use your favorite parts if you want in remaking your own videos. And I think what he might be explaining here is why Mr. MB3 is now making his own shadow videos with a little pole and showing you where the shadow goes. And then he's going to talk about the laser sun again.
Has contracted before. Normally when it stops at its maximum contraction, the plasma around our sky, right? When it's at its maximum contraction, that's whenever the sun goes its furthest north, right? So up here in the northern hemisphere, we have summertime and stuff, right? That's why this happens during the summer solstice. The solstice is its furthest it can go north. What happens whenever it's about to go into flux every other cycle is it transgresses that boundary, that tropic, we call it, right? Both of the tropics are the boundaries for the sun, basically. When it goes past either of those tropics, that means the apocalypse is on the way. That's another omen that you can look for. Now, there's other omens that you're going to know before that, but these are some of them. Anyways, when the plasma above us shrinks down and it contracts to its tightest form, now all of that light that is refracting off of our sky, coming in and giving us a focal point, is now focused, and it's thinner and it's smaller, and our daytime is basically akin to, symbolically ish, now it's pretty actual, a laser. Okay, so instead of daylight being spread out and just being warm and nice and glowy, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter as the daytime itself, which is the area of light after the focal point, like how far it spreads, right? If above, as above, so below, if above, it shrinks down and it contracts as it's spinning, then below, the daytime shrinks down. It should be like that, right? So pretend this is daytime and it's like moving around. It shrinks down itself, giving us less daytime. In addition to that, it seems to me that the plasma speeds up right before the world pops, okay? So it goes faster and faster too.
Here he references something that I first heard from Greg Braden in his videos Awakening to 0 Point and Beyond 0 Point, the collective initiation, referencing the long day on one side of the earth and the long night on the other side.
The nation avenged itself upon its enemies. As it is written in the book of Yashar, or Jasher, the sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down for about an entire day. This I've always taken to be a literal account. I know there's many people that try to make that a metaphor, they try to internalize it, make it symbolic, etc. However, it seems to me, based on my own personal research, I'm good with the fact that I think that this physically actually happened, that the sun just stopped where it was supposed to be in the sky. And I've also read corroborating scriptures and writings and ancient historical records from people who lived on the other side of the world around that same time, where they talk about how the moon stopped in the sky and it was nighttime for an extended period of time, right? So I don't believe.
Here he references something Jim Morrison sings about in his song, "When the music's over, turn out the lights, turn out the lights."
Far out to the edge of the world. It almost looks like it's not going to come back. And the ancient people feared that it wouldn't come back. Why? Not just because it looked like it might not come back. I mean, year after year after year, they see that it comes back. You know what I mean? They had to have a solid reason to fear the sun might actually disappear. It's because it actually disappeared time and time again, right? That's when the world starts over. Okay, the lights go out in the beginning, everything is dark. The sun, the moon, stars, they turn off. There's a huge EMP. Let me get back on track.
He's about to reference something that I think may have been depicted in I Pet Goat 2, when the blue star Kachina dances in the plaza and removes its mask.
Flipped upside down and messed up. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent. I'm sorry. The Hopi name for the star Sirius is Blue Star Kachina. It will come when the Sakwa Soha, or the Blue Star Kachina, dances in the plaza and removes its mask. That is what I'm talking about. Blue Star Kachina. It will come when the Sakwa Soha, or the Blue Star Kachina, dances in the plaza and removes its mask. That is what I'm talking about, right? It will dance in the plaza and remove its mask. So, here's what's going on, okay? Imagine, if you will, we already painted the picture that the daylight gets more focused, and then the sun, in turn, starts turning more and more white and then more and more blue.
The movie Code 46 was set in a time and place where the sun was too hot for anyone to operate outside, so they engaged in business during the nighttime, and as soon as the sun rose, they went indoors. I believe that time that movie was depicted in is this time where the sun is too hot to bear. What he's about to say might explain why we see these plasma fires that are accompanied by high winds, and when they see it coming, they shut off the power because they know that we're about to have one of these experiences where you get intense heat or the underground electricity that comes through and starts things on fire, accompanied by high winds.
Drives the chariot too close to the earth, burning it, and too far away from it, freezing it. Oh my God. Okay, this is exactly what happens. That's a really good example right there. So imagine that's daytime, right? Now imagine that daytime shrinks way down. It's going to burn the earth. Phaethon is now at the wheel, basically, right? And it's burning the earth wherever it's daytime. But now you have way less daytime. So everywhere else, it gets cold. Right? There's no sunlight all over the place. And not only that, but whenever you heat up one side of the earth and the atmosphere and everything, right, it starts to create immense amounts of wind. So quite often these types of these sun gods are also wind gods, because they make wind because of the heat that they're putting off, right? But anyways, not only does it create super hot wherever the direct beam is. So that's the Chinese legend, right? When the earth was scorched by the suns. It doesn't tell you this here, but I just happen to know this. In Chinese legend, right, they had the sun goddess. She had like 9 sons, so she would invite one of them every day to go ride. The rest of them were left at the North Pole, playing on like the world tree, basically, like just going.
On I-80 in the West Desert between Salt Lake and Nevada, there is a tree that has been created out of metal that has, I don't know, about 9 globes on it. And I've never known really what it was. You can Google it and see pictures of it. And here you can see that there's one on the ground that's fallen and broken. The sculpture is made of 225 tons of cement, almost 2,000 ceramic tile, and 5 tons of welding rod, and tons of minerals and rock native to Utah. Also called the Tree of Life, the sculpture is located on the north side of I-80, about 95 miles west of Salt Lake City, 25 miles west of Wendover. It's called the Tree of Utah, also known as the Tree of Life.
The Jaguar god of terrestrial fire. The Jaguar god of terrestrial fire is recognizable by a cruller around the eyes, making a loop over the nose. And a cruller just means to like a twist, something that's twisted. Jaguar ears, jaguar fangs. He personifies the number 7, which is associated with the day, Akbal, night. Associated with the Akbal night. Oh, he's associated with the night. That's what it's trying to say. I'm sorry. So in the Mayan sun god, or the Jaguar god of terrestrial fire, is associated with the night. That's interesting. It says that usually called Jaguar god of the underworld, he has traditionally been assumed to be the night sun. The sun of the night. It's not talking about the moon. It's not talking about the big light that's out at nighttime.
Recently, Mr. MB3 put out a video that shows a double-decker rainbow at night. Could be the UV sun, the black sun, this sun of the night. But now that I see Bart Simpson here with this magnifying glass, that reminds me that I'm meant to show you something else at the beginning of this video with the sun as a deadly laser. But we'll get back to that. One last clip of Jay Dreamers from this video. He says that the sun starts to hide. This is referenced by AWOLnation in 2 different songs. One, Wake Up, we're leaving all the haters behind before the sun decides to hide. And Kill Your Heroes. One day the sun will leave us all behind. Unexplainable sightings in the sky.
Right? They used to be painted red originally. Just like the sun originally, when it started, was red. But then over time, they started to paint him blue. Guess? And then they called him the hidden one, right? See how like the face is black there in the middle and it's getting dark, right? That's because the sun starts to hide and all you see is the little halo, the little blue.
I must have missed the first time that he said it, but he uses those words about the sun starting to hide twice in this video. Link will be in the description. So I found 2 of these videos where they've built a 50-foot magnifying glass in Springfield on The Simpsons, and it was impossible to find the video clip. Only way I could do it was go to my previous video from years ago and pull it out of the link in the description, because Googling it by any words that I tried did not bring it up. And in my process of looking for that, I found another one where they referenced that same 50-foot magnifying glass. I will throw that link in the description also. So I found this in the description of one of my very old videos. It's on a YouTube channel called Lit TV News, and you can see that the title is The Simpsons Predicted California Wildfires Caused by Dew. And what happens here in this episode is that the scientific inventor guy created a convex lens that focuses the sun to a focal point that turns it into a deadly laser. He says, "You fools, you've erected a massive concave reflective surface. It will focus the sun's beam into a deadly laser." That massive concave reflective surface might actually be referring to something more like the firmament or the dome. And then that deadly ray proceeds to destroy Springfield, and things go up in flames as this deadly ray passes over. For some weird reason, these guys that are at the optometrist's office, it blows their glasses off and now they can see. Eyes to see in the UV spectrum of the black light age of Aquarius, maybe? Oh, that's what it is. They're at the laser eye clinic for LASIK eye surgery. And so this guy, all of his patients just got up and walked out. And he just can't take it, so he takes himself out. And all of Springfield is now destroyed, but they've got the giant 50-foot magnifying glass covered up with a covering. The mayor comes out to thank all the people at Tianjin smelting and mining and donuts and something else. Tianjin happens to be where a massive car manufacturer had all of its cars blowed out by something like a dew, where all of the rims, the engine blocks, the door handles, and the glass was melted out of every single car at a Tianjin auto manufacturer. Tianjin being in China. And then the joke is that they all start chanting, "We will rebuild, we're Springfield strong," and 6 months later it's still devastated. Everything's all melted and destroyed. Because the sun is a deadly laser. Not anymore, there's a blanket. That video we watched at first has to be referring to something like this process that Jay Dreamers is describing. And the "not anymore, there's a blanket" is what comes after. Link will be in the description for "The Sun is a Deadly Laser" song, as well as everything else I've covered in this video. Oh.
Hey, can we go on land? Yo, yo, yo. Why? The sun is a deadly laser. The sun is a deadly laser. Yo, yo, yo. Yo, yo, yo. Yo, yo, yo. The sun is a deadly laser. Yo, yo, yo. The sun is a deadly laser. Yo, yo, yo. The sun is a deadly, deadly laser. Yo, 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 deadly laser.
So that little video makes absolutely no sense without being put in the proper context of understanding what the hell it's talking about. But now I think we got a pretty good idea. I'm also going to throw some links in the description to this guy who has a total of 26 subscribers, but he goes out every morning, or however often, and he can see this, what he calls the sunrise companion. An extra orb up there in the sky, like the black sun, like that binary star system that we just saw in that last video where it was a red and blue spiraling circles. He's about as good with the camera as I am, but you can still see what's right there by the sun. Here's a couple where you can clearly see it, and it even has a second lens flare. I'm going to point that out for you. Notice the lens flares down here. There's one here and one there. As these lens flares move around the screen when the camera moves, you can see that there's two light sources, and I have two of these videos to show you. I'll include them in the description. Notice there's two lens flares.
So, two suns. Or Nibiru, or the Red Kachina, or the Destroyer, or whatever you want to call it. Prophecy's kind of my bag, so. I enjoy reading a lot of it. I have for about 40 years.
2 lens flares right there.
There we go.
Showing 2 light sources. Maybe even 3.
I'm going to raise up and see if I can find anything else around it. Sometimes there's an orb over here. But if you look closely,
This one I can't get the picture to rotate, so we're just going to show you sideways. There's clearly 2 suns and 2 lens flares. So here you can see an orb here and an orb here, and then the main ball of light over here. That might be the sun simulator, trying to blind us from being able to see what there is to see. But watch when the lens flares pop up. You can clearly see at least 2 lens flares. One, 2. Those little green lights cruising around. There's 2 of them. 2 light sources to produce 2 lens flares. May the Space Force be with you.